Evolutionary.org, episode 614 coming your way. Today's going to be a fun episode. Look, we're going to discuss discussion of top logs on the forums. So this is going to be an amazing podcast. So let's get right to it, Mobster. We're going to stick to about five, and we got a couple extra bonus ones that we might get to as
Yeah.
well. So the first one we're going to talk about is Noah. And Noah came on the podcast a couple times as a guest. You can go back and listen to those episodes. And one of the
Yes.
podcasts he came on, I interviewed him, and Mobster and I also interviewed him in another podcast. And let me tell you something. Noah has done an amazing job, and he's become a leader on the forums, helping people, really
Yep.
sacrificing his time to help people. But let me tell you something. When he first started, he looked just like the average Joe. You walk into any Planet Fitness or LA
Yeah.
Fitness or
That's where
regular
he was
gym.
training, Steve, Planet Fitness. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He looked just like any other person in there. And now he's went from that, and 2 years later, doing his log, and with the help of his log and with the help of getting advice from everybody on the forum and different eyes, working as a team with everybody, he's turned into a guy who's looking to compete next year, and he will compete and he will do very well. So really, that's the amazing thing about doing these logs is you can turn from just like an average looking Joe. He's 80% of the gym is average Joes. You have the top 10% or top 5% who look incredible. You're like, damn, that person looks sick. And you have the bottom 5-10%, which are the people are like, well, they're new to weightlifting. They don't know how to diet. They're obese or whatever. I'm not trying to make fun of them. I'm just telling you how
No,
it
no,
is.
that's just normal,
But
normal.
then
Yeah.
you have 80% in the middle. So Noah was one of the 80%. He went from one of the 80% to one of the top 5%. You see?
Yes.
So doing these logs helped him really get amazing gains. And one of the steroids that he used was Primo. And Primo is one of the most mild steroids you can use. And he had amazing benefits on Primo. Like you wouldn't believe he was just taking Primo. So, he really has an eye for it. And one of the things too I like about his log, Mobster, before I let you comment, is the amazing amount of volume that he does on his training. And he really has conditioned his
Yeah,
body in the
yeah.
past 2 years to where if anybody
I
else,
couldn't do it. I couldn't do it,
yeah,
Steve.
if he
It's,
pulled
yeah.
anybody away from the gym, okay, and said, come work out with me, they would be unable to walk the next day. They'd
Oh
be so
man,
sore.
halfway through, I'll be in bits halfway through. I've touched upon this. Listen, we've had him on the shows like Steve said. He's open, which is what helps with vlogs. He's open to help. He's open to advice. Literally, one of the things we said when we had him on the show, I was joshing with him a little tiny bit. You can still get a good workout at Planet Fitness, but he's actually arguably, Steve, he's just recently changed from Planet Fitness to a different gym. And he said the difference it's made in terms of his upping his intensity by being around people that are more intense has made that difference. And on a forum, that's arguably what he's doing. He was doing well at Planet Fitness because the environment there didn't matter. It was the environment support and the information he was getting from the forums that meant where he trained didn't matter so much as how he trained. And like Steve said, his volume training approach would not suit me at all. It doesn't have to suit the reader. It doesn't have to suit people looking at his log. But at the same time, the simple fact of the matter is he was able to go and do those workouts and, as we've seen, make progress. So as Steve said, he's become one of the 5%, if for no other reason than the volume. And then, of course, because, and this applies to all the logs, including mine, because you've got arguably, I think someone says they called it the Evo family, because you've got people that support you, because you've even got sometimes, and I'm going to put my hands up, I haven't always been the nicest person for this, because literally sometimes someone like me will say, you could do better. I know you're an ass kicker. I've seen you kick ass. I've seen your videos. I've seen your meal prep. You fell off the wagon this week and get back on and kick you up the arse in the nicest possible way to make you progress. And then when you and this again applies to all the logs, when a normal Joe starts to transform his physique, how fucking inspirational is that, Steve? Let me give you a basic kind of statistic. And again, this applies to every single log on the forum, not just the ones that we're discussing. For the 10, 15, 20 people that comment, hundreds if not thousands, read. You've got bots that read and you've got people that read. And the people that read might not ever comment. They might not ever help. They might not ever offer some kind of input. But they could go to page one of his log and see how he looks. And in the last page on his log with the most recent photographs to see how he looked. And they could see that that 2 year transformation is inspiring. They might train like him. They might train like me. But they can say, there's an average Joe that's transformed his physique. When we had him on the show, Steve, he came across as a really intelligent, normal, hardworking guy that's out there. He's becoming his own particular way. I don't think this was even intentional. A little bit of a leader. He understands the nature of people that can get something from his log, be inspired, and he's trying to support people in that particular way. And people take notice of what he's had to say because they've seen he's made a transformation. So what do you think on that aspect?
Yeah. So you can go check out his log, Noah, Noah space Wixx. You can go look that on the Evo forums and you'll see his log for sure. So next time we're going to talk about, and this is another amazing log, and that's you, Mobster. And you can go check out Mobster's log. It's called Mobster's Training Diary. And you can look up his name, Mobster, Mobster. And let me tell you something about Mobster. Mobster just turned 60 years old. I'm going to talk a little bit about you, Mobster. I'm going to let you talk about yourself in a second.
Save me
Mobster
being modest.
just turned 60. And look, Mobster is the proof that this is a marathon and not a sprint. Now, if you go to your gym and you look at the strongest people in your gym, they're not 20 or 25 years old. They're 50, 55 usually, somewhere there, somewhere in or the late 40s, because they've been training for a long time and it's been consistent. They built up a lot of body and muscle memory. So for Mobster at 60 years old, with the help of the performance enhancing drugs that he uses, he's been able to continuously set PRs even at 60 years old because of that. And just the time he's put in. How many hours in the gym Mobster has Mobster put on over the years? I mean, and it's like 1,000,000 hours of time in the gym. And
I'm a great example,
up.
Steve, of the 10,000 hour rule that talks about mastering your skill, mastering the violin or playing chess. And you get to become a master if you put the time in. And arguably, I've done probably, as you say, hundreds of thousands of hours, certainly way past the 10,000 hour thing, to the point where I've been paid, I do these podcasts, etc. And my knowledge has come from my own personal experience and understanding when I fucked up, and also from learning from other people like myself. Here's a thing that comes from the logs, and I think you use myself into to some degree, even Stevesmi, right? The once you become of that person, once there's a sort of recognition that you might have, in my case, strength, and I'm able to consistently plug away and get from where I was to where I am now. Just today, Steve, literally an hour before this show, or 2 hours before this show, I was squatting a Hatfield squat with the safety bar, 350 kilograms, 770 pounds for 4 reps. That's a rep PB. And as Steve says, I've not long past my 60th birthday. At my fucking age, doing close to 800 fucking pounds for reps on using a safety bar. So people will see that. I've had people on a UK forum going, they can't understand how someone can consistently use the kind of weight that I do my workout for years at a time. It blew their minds. So there's an argument to be made in that particular way. Steve and I, because we are moderators, because we do these shows, we get a little bit more attention. And here's the thing, right? There are several benefits to running a log, and I'm thinking in terms of the traction, meaning the sheer number of people that come and look at our logs and are inspired or motivated. They might not even want to train like I trained. I might not. I couldn't train like Noah. It just doesn't suit me. It's not what I want to do. But I could still be inspired by Noah plugging away and transforming physique. And people could still be inspired by a 60-plus-year-old person squatting 700 fucking plus pounds for reps. And it benefits the forum, which benefits the sponsors, which benefits you, because it allows the forum to exist. So, for example, in my case, Steve, I've probably got the most views and the longest singular. I have had short logs as well. The longest singular log, not just on Evo. I think one forum I'm on to do with grip, Steve, I've had 21 years and 250,000 posts from people and myself, of course, over those 21 years on that one single log. They actually celebrated that this other forum because I think I had the longest log of anybody. And again, you can go page one of mine or any of the logs that we're discussing today and see how we get on. Let's move on to the next one, Steve.
Yeah,
Roid
so
rage.
yeah,
Yeah,
his
go on.
name is Roid Rage 69. So you can look him up and his log, one of his logs, he's got several different logs, and one of the
Yeah,
logs is called Roid Rage 69 log. Simple as that. And the
yeah,
thing about Roid Rage, I'm gonna give you my perspective on him, which is interesting, is Roid Rage used to be a swimmer. He used to be a very high competitive swimmer back in the day. So he built up a lot of conditioning at a young age. And let me tell you something, you younger people listening to this, it's very important to build up your muscle and body memory and your conditioning when you're young because you can tap into that later in life. That's the beauty part of training when you're young. It's very, very important to get started early. So he got started early being in athletics, and that's really benefited him now later on. Now he's a big dude. When he first started his log, he's 5'9". He's in his 50s.
yeah.
He's in his mid 50s. He's 5'9", 295 when he started out. So he's a big dude. He's not tiny, right?
No, no.
But here's
It's
the
still a
amazing
challenge.
thing about his log that he's done. He's been able to cut down a lot of body fat from 295. He's down to about 240 or less. I think a little bit more than that now. But
In a
he's
minute, yeah.
able, but he's been able to keep his muscle and keep his strength in the process, and he's still hitting PR. So that was an amazing transformation. You know how hard that is? That's basically a recon. And he was
Yeah.
able to get stronger while losing body mass. That's very hard to do. So one of the things about Roy Rage, which is very interesting, is his dedication, his workouts. And him and his wife, you can check out his wife
Yes.
too.
I was going to say, mention his wife as well, Steve.
Yeah.
They train together. So it's a husband and wife
And
partner
she
training.
also has a
She
log.
kicks ass. She kicks
Yeah.
ass.
And her log is Royd Rage's wife. And she also has good,
Yes.
so but they work together, and that's good that you have someone pushing. Because let me tell you something, there's gonna be days where you don't feel like going to the gym, but your partner, which is in her case, is pushing you to go to the gym, and vice versa. And that really is an advantage because especially as you get older, shit happens. You might have a bad day at work, you might have something with your kid, you might have something with being sick that day, you didn't get a good night's sleep, but having a partner who pushes you to just go get it done. And a lot of
Yeah.
times, that's one of the things that are motivating about their log is that they train together and they push each other and they spot each other and they're friends, in the gym. And that's really good to have a good gym environment like that. Monster touched on that for a couple minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. Royd Rage and I have actually butted heads way, way early back when he first come onto the forums for a misunderstanding. And we've actually discussed, people have talked about this as well, the idea that if I was ever in the States, people would like to see me and him trading together just to see how the fuck it goes. He is a strong motherfucker. His deadlift would kick my ass. I think on some of the back exercises, chest exercises, we'd be there or thereabouts. He does a little bit more volume than I do. He's got a very thick, muscular looking physique. And again, he's not a million miles away from me age wise. I think we're talking about 5, 6 years age difference. The simple fact of the matter is, and this is just recently, guys, he did a particular cycle, which is just easing off and backing down a little bit. And every fucking workout for weeks, Steve, was PR, PR, PR. Mrs. Royd Rage was getting PRs. He was getting, obviously they're not lifting the same weights, but Mrs. Royd Rage is no shrinking violet. I like the fact, and this is crazy to be honest with you, Steve. And anybody that's at the top of the game will talk about the supportive thing of understanding partner. The fact that his wife is down there in the gym, and maybe there's an even thing of making sure that she knows that I'm a big, strong motherfucker, and she could be doing her thing and saying, I don't want to get him too far ahead. Whatever. I don't know what the vibe is, but the vibe works. The vibe motivates. And again, people that come onto the forums come from all walks of life. The typical person's going to be 18 to 25, maybe to 30 years of age, might be single or whatever else. But there'll be a few people out there that are married. And the idea that you've got a supportive partner, your wife, that can come and train with you and is kicking ass, it has to be fucking said. Both of them are kicking ass. Both of them was getting PRs. They've literally just in the last 2 weeks, because I follow their logs, literally just in the last 2 weeks, backed off a little bit. And it's an inspiration again. It makes me want to get PRs every fucking workout, Steve. That's the thing of it. And of course, and maybe that's what's driving him as well. It's a feedback loop here in terms of, if I go to my local gym, I'm more likely to train harder than I do with my gym here at the house, which is fantastic. If he goes with his wife, him and his wife push each other. If he goes to the local gym, there might be people there watching, so he pushes himself. And there's an element on the forum of people like myself, God, he's inspiration. A married couple in their 50s, killing it, killing it in the gym. There is literally, and I think this is a line I used in the pre-show with Steve. There is a log for everyone. I hope that we get time just before we finish, Steve, to mention a couple of the slightly different ones.
Yeah.
Let's move on a little bit now to S Gents. So talk about S
Yeah,
Gents.
so let me touch on S-gens. And what the fascinating thing about S-gens that I find really interesting is that for an American, okay, his diet is so fucking on point. He doesn't eat any sugar. I find that amazing. Like, so his meals, he alternates between chicken and beef, and
Yeah,
he'll,
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know, and he
It's so routine, man.
yeah, and one of the things, and eggs, and he'll have some Ezekiel toast. He likes that as well. But his diet is so fucking precise. His supplement stack is so fucking precise. He does consistent cardio. He likes to do it post workout, which is really important. And his workouts are extremely disciplined and very structured. So for him, his training strategy is be consistent, keep his diet consistent, no fucking sugar, no garbage in his diet. It's so on point, and he is so fucking conditioned and he's so lean and conditioned. It's just fascinating how disciplined he is. He looks fantastic.
Yeah, yeah,
He looks like just the most conditioned dude you'd ever see in the gym. He's got extremely good physique, a V shape. His legs
yeah,
are very muscular and
yeah.
vascular, and he's got low body fat. It's just a year-round consistency. If you read and his
Let
his
me touch
log is
upon one
well,
thing here,
let
Steve.
me tell you
One
his log.
thing. Yeah, sorry, go
Yeah,
on. You
the
say that, and
name
then
of the
I'll tell you
log,
the
if
thing
you
that
want to,
stands out.
the name of the log is S.GENTZ 2024 cut recomp log, and his name is SGENTZ. So you can look that up if you want to check it out. Go ahead, Mobster. Yeah.
So here's the thing, and we've seen this, and Steve and I have talked about this on other shows, and S Gents is the best example of this. His is super controlled. So if he manipulates any variable, he can see the difference that makes in his gym and in his physique numbers, in the percentages, the difference, how his physique looks, because he can just move something, one ingredient, one food type. What have we said, Steve, when it comes to any log on the forum? Those that are wanting to gain muscle or get stronger or get leaner, that have the best meal prep, whether that's photographs of the food, whether they don't have off time, whether they're not out indulging themselves at weekend, whether they're not doing crazy fucking shit, recreational or otherwise, the ones that are the most on point, consistent, like myself with the training for 40 plus years, being able to get good workouts no matter where they are, like Noah in Planet Fitness and now the gym that he trains, or in SGen's case, having the on point fucking diet that barely varies. It's literally function, 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 and produces an amazing looking physique. Every single log, in just normal Joes who realize the consistencies where things, realize getting stronger is what matters, realize how important the food prep is, and having either brought in food prep or making the food themselves at weekends, post up these photographs. Other readers, other listeners get to see what that's about, and they get to see the results. And the people that do that, and Esther is the best example of this in terms of the food, have the best results. And it might literally sometimes having a diary, a log, where us, the reader, can see that you're being consistent, keeps you consistent. And again, Esther would be a good example of that. I'll move on to the next one, Steve. So I'll let you introduce in terms of the background. I know a little bit about this person as well. And then we'll talk about them and their
Yeah.
log as well. So
So
yeah.
her name is Remember, REMEMBER, then THE, and then the number five. So remember the five. And her
Yeah.
name of the log is called Recomp SARM's log, hacking muscle, gaining strength, staying lean, third cycle. So you can look that up, and we'll link it as well in the show notes. But she's listen, I haven't seen anybody in my life who busts their ass like she does.
Yes.
She is
Yes.
a metabolic fire pit. She burns so many calories every day with her training. Insane training, insane cardio. She does martial arts, she does boxing, she does all this cardio, which would is just amazing. And the flip side is she does a lot of fasting and a lot of sleep to recover from that hardcore lifestyle. So she is so fucking conditioned that she could blow anybody out of the water that you could meet. She's easily top 1% when it comes to conditioning. I haven't seen anybody. She eats a ton of food as well, but she burns so many fucking calories that it doesn't even matter. It just goes right through her. So, but she eats healthy and she sticks to mostly a vegetarian vegan diet in the process. So this is a very fascinating log to see someone who is in incredible shape. Like literally, if a dinosaur came out of around the corner and started running after her, she'd be able to outrun the dinosaur. She's like, one of
I'd
those
be
types of
eaten.
people. Lobster, you'd be
I'd be
eating
eaten.
pretty quick, and I'd be eating next, and then she'd be able to escape. Just such
That's
good
right.
cardio and such good endurance. She'd be able to outrun the dinosaur, no problem. Talk about her, Mobster. Yeah.
I know what she does for a living, Steve, which I'm not going to talk about in this show because I was asked not to by her. So I know what she does for a living, and it's a difficult job, an important job, a difficult job. And the fact that she was able to do that particular job is quite good career, Steve, and then go to the dojo, the wherever it is that BJJ takes place, and kick ass, and do the fucking work that she does. And I'm talking about physical work in the gym and apply herself to. I mean, now what she's teaching classes now, Steve. She's putting opponents through. She's actually, I believe, competed in the last year or so at tournaments. So she's taken. I've got a couple of buddies that used to do grip stuff, and then later on strongman that are now doing exactly what she's doing in terms of getting the belts and doing tournaments and so on and so forth. That shit is hard. That shit is physical. Literally, someone wants to bust your ass, grappling the fuck out of you. We don't have it in this country, Steve, but school wrestling that you have in the States is hard. Someone's fucking got their arm around your head and they're trying to throw you around and twist and fuck you up. And that's after a workout or before a workout. And doing that shit and being able to do your day job, which can easily be, especially in America, 10-hour days, high end shit, and then come into a studio and getting your fucking grind on. And that's without the actual training workouts and whatever else. The ability to apply yourself in those circumstances, and I've done a little bit of this, I'm sure you still do, Steve, in terms of these shows, these podcasts, and hitting the gym and doing a full fucking day's work in between is no joke. I don't have to do that shit anymore. I've done it back in the day. Physical jobs, less physical jobs, and just finding a fucking time to do that shit and then get thrown the fuck around for your trouble because that's your chosen niche and still hit the gym and still be, as Steve said, she's now in that percentile. She's not only kicking ass, she's not only putting herself through the ringer, she's competing, she's showing other people how to kick ass and still kicking ass in the career and doing all the other stuff that the rest of us done. Again, lots of our listeners, lots of members of the forum have a proper fucking day job, or they're at college or at university studying. And for the most part, because you're listening to this show, you're driven individuals, and you will get people like Remember the Five, who's right up there. What's my excuse? And we've actually got another couple that we can talk about like this, Steve. I'll touch upon those as well. So just recently we added, or should I say they added themselves to the forum, new members. And Remember the Five is going to be in that inspirational section. All of our mods, even myself, all of the logs are. But the following two are great examples, I think, Steve, of no fucking excuse. In fact, I can think of three. The two that stand out, one, I believe, has dealt with or is dealing with cancer right now in both themselves and in family members. Got a couple of logs like that. And there's another one that's literally paralyzed, and there are photographs of the screws and the shit that's holding the base of their spine together from the fucking waist down. In my local gym, we've got someone like this with a medical condition, with a full electric little joystick type wheelchair, comes in and gets his shit done. So the rest of us, Steve, we're tired sometimes, we ache, life's shitty, I had some stress this weekend, stuff that still needs to be dealt with. Steve's had fucking stuff, a cyst removed from his body just last fucking week, right? Life. But we're not paralyzed from the waist down. We are not crippled, as we used to call it, Steve. We're not dying. We haven't got some horrendous fucking medical condition that's going to fuck us up. A couple of our logs have. And one of the phrases I used earlier, and I mentioned it in the pre-show to Steve, that we have a log for everyone. When we're tired, when we've had this shit to deal with, when whatever, Then we compare ourselves to someone that's got just to get to the fucking gym in a car and get out of the car and get into the chair and get into the chair and then get into the gym from the chair in the car park into the gym itself physically and then get out of the fucking chair onto the gym equipment. What's my fucking excuse for moaning? Where's my excuse? Has to be motivating, Steve. It proves to you that even someone that's paralyzed from the fucking waist down can get to the gym and kick ass. They're not providing themselves with an excuse. They still want to get fit. Oh, I got out of shape, but I'm paralyzed from the waist down. Literally photographs of the x-ray. Okay, you are an inspiration straight away just for coming onto the forum, making that statement. And now we're going to try our best to help you improve. You've got people that are dealing with cancer in their family, people that have just literally lost a child. A child to cancer was one of the examples we had the other day, Steve. Makes me fucking emotional telling you this on the podcast. The idea that that person wants to get out of the funk, that being in that situation made them perfectly naturally become and want to get to the gym and clear their fucking head of the stresses and aggravations and kick ass in their own way in the gym is a fucking inspiration, Steve. What do you think about that and those individuals?
Yeah, and it's very, very important to have a diary and talk about this stuff and not get into a shell. And a lot of all these diaries we talked about, people have been, as Mobster said, there's been life. Life happens. I had to take 2 weeks away from the gym, not allowed to work out. I can only do like light cardio. They told me after I had a cyst removed off from my back. But this is stuff that you have to go through. And sometimes, it's depressing that some of the stuff you have to go through. And a lot of these people, as Mobster talked about, they go through real life things. They go through deaths, they go through medical issues. So these logs are amazing to keep you on point and keep you
Yes,
motivated and inspire you and make you grateful for your health and grateful
yes,
for your family and your friends. And we're very supportive on the forum. We're the only bodybuilding forum out there where we support each other and we inspire each other. And we don't, we're not a negative place. If you're a negative person, you're basically going to be ignored and nobody's going to respect you on the forum. So you can go to another forum and have your little negative bullshit. But if you come on our forum, we expect you to be positive because that's the environment we have. And that's how it's going to be. So we have some excellent logs. One more log I wanted to talk about too is SF Dom 415. And
yeah,
this is,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and he's, look, he's one of the most fun logs. If you want to read a fun log, he's got, and his
He's
log is
out there,
called
man. He's
my
out there.
get my get juiced, jacked, and crazy sexy for summer log. And he's a
Yeah,
person that is so hard on himself, so fucking hard on himself. He's never satisfied. And he's an older guy, mobster. I think he's in his late
yeah,
50s.
yeah, yeah.
And he looks
Late 50s,
great for
early
his
60s.
age.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
looks
yeah, yeah.
great for his age compared to a common American. He looks fucking fantastic, but he's so hard on himself. And he uses his log to get inspiration to get pushed to go to the gym and stuff. So his log is
Yes.
really fun, but he does a lot of like pictures and he travels a lot and he posts a lot of funny stuff. He's a funny dude and he's a lot of fun. So we have entertaining logs like his. We have other logs that are inspiring. We have logs that are serious. We have all kinds of logs on the forum. So you all listening to this, take advantage of that and come on the forum and start your own log. And look, it's going to be a lot of fun and you're going to enjoy it. It's going to you're going to push yourself to be inspired and get yourself to the next level. And we're all going to help you. We're all going to be, I'm going to motivate you and we're going to make sure that we get, we tighten up your diet, we tighten up your training, we tighten
Yes.
up your steroid
Yes.
cycles, whatever your goal is, whether you use steroids or you don't use steroids, whether you just want help with your diet, whether you just want help with your training, it doesn't matter. We're going to help you get the most out of your situation by doing a diary. So, Monster, 1 minute left. Finish
Yeah,
up with your
one
final
minute left. I
thoughts.
just, guys,
Yeah.
include as much information as you possibly can. I don't need to know your inside leg measurement, but age, body weight, condition, how you used to train, what you're training for now, why you're using certain PEDs. Can we correct those things? Got pictures of your food. You don't think it makes a difference? It does. Stresses in life, we can fucking get you past that just with man to man type advice or woman to woman type advice. And your head's up your ass. I've had it. Steve's had it. We've all had moments, fucking shit to deal with. People come on, listen, we've got your back, giving you a moment to fucking breathe, and then getting you back in the game, realizing that training your asses off in the gym is a way sometimes of dealing with stress, that kind of shit, and then patting you back on your back metaphorically from a distance saying, way to go, you fucking pushing the PRs, you've lost 30 pounds, you've transformed yourself, you had a shitty weekend, get over it. Let's fucking get back on the grind and kicking ass. So the more information you put in, the more open you are sometimes in that particular way, Steve, the greater success. And if you're consistent, and we can help you be consistent, then you will see transformations. And like we talked about already, you don't know the effect that you might be having on the 40, 50, or 100 people that are reading your log, whether that's up in the forum, the sponsors, or just helping to transform other people's lives and doing an amazing job without you even fucking realizing that you're doing it. And people turn around and say, do you know what? You transform yourself. You make me want to transform myself. Thank you so much. So that's a great way and a great reason for doing logs. Please note, we are not doctors and opinions. Ours is our view and based on our experience and views on the topic. Our podcasts are for informational purposes and entertainment only. The freedom of speech and the First Amendment applies.